You know, history doesn't always move at a crawl. Sometimes everything just clicks into place on one single day. For artificial intelligence, that day was October 9th, 2025. It seemed like a bunch of random things happened all at once. A massive hardware deal, a huge funding round, a new enterprise platform, and a landmark regulation. And just like that, in a flash, we all saw it. AI had finally transformed from this fascinating toy into a real, structured, global industry. So let's break down exactly what happened. So that really is the big question, isn't it? What actually happens when all the hype and speculation finally gives way to hard reality? Well, the answer, as we're about to see, really plays out in three critical arenas. The raw hardware that powers all this stuff, the real jobs that AI is finally starting to do, and of course, the new rules it's going to be forced to follow.
And it all has to start with the foundation, compute, raw computing power. Every single AI model, every single breakthrough, is built on just a truly mind-boggling amount of processing muscle. And on October 9th, what was once a quiet race for that muscle just exploded into a full-blown arms race.
For what felt like forever, this race really only had one person in it: Nvidia. They were the undisputed champ, the king of AI chips. But then, a serious challenger finally stepped into the ring. AMD, who had been kind of in the background, made a huge move that sent a clear signal to everyone. This market isn't a monopoly anymore. It's a duel.
And the sheer scale of AMD's opening move was just staggering. 6 gigawatts. That is the amount of new GPU power that OpenAI committed to buying from them. To put that in perspective, that's enough juice to power several large cities. This wasn't just another order. It was a shot across the bow. A statement that the frontier of AI officially has 2 suppliers now.
And here's why that's a huge deal. This deal sent a strategic shockwave through the entire industry. We're talking a multi-billion-dollar, multi-year partnership that basically guarantees OpenAI this massive new pipeline of chips starting in 2026. But the most important part? It gives the whole industry a powerful counterweight to Nvidia. All of a sudden, you've got real competition, you've got negotiating power, and maybe, just maybe, a chance to finally put a ceiling on the insane cost of building the next generation of AI.
But look, the hardware race is only half the story. On that very same day, the software side of the industry had its own major moment. Because while labs like OpenAI are building these closed, proprietary, walled garden systems, a completely different way of thinking was absolutely blowing up. $8 billion. That was the new valuation for a company called Reflection AI after it closed a $2 billion funding round. Now, this wasn't just another big Silicon Valley number. This was a massive vote of confidence from top investors, including, get this, Nvidia itself, in a totally different way of building and selling AI. And that different way is called open intelligence. The idea is actually pretty simple but incredibly powerful. You release the core AI model, the model weights, for anyone to use, totally free. The business model comes from selling customization, support, and security services to big companies and governments who want to build their own stuff on top of that open foundation. This day proved that open isn't just a philosophy anymore. It's a real, high-growth business model. So you put all that together, right, and you get this really fascinating tension. On one hand, you've got a landmark deal that validates a new hardware supplier and a massive investment that validates the open source model. But at the exact same time, the broader market was nervous. The Nasdaq actually dipped a bit. And that signals a real anxiety among the big institutional investors that maybe, just maybe, we're in a speculative AI bubble, one that's fueled more by a fear of missing out than by guaranteed profits. Okay, so we've got a 2-horse race for hardware and a thriving open-source movement on the software side. But you have to ask, what is all this power and all this money actually for? Well, on October 9th, we got a really clear answer. AI finally rolled up its sleeves, moved out of the lab, and clocked in for its first real, mission-critical jobs.
The big catalyst here was Google launching Gemini Enterprise. They called it the single front door for AI in the workplace. And this wasn't just another chatbot. This was a platform designed to deploy fleets of autonomous AI agents to actually do work inside a company's day-to-day operations. The real game changer here is just how accessible Google made all this. We're not talking about hiring 1,000 PhDs. It's a single chat window with a whole task force of pre-built agents ready to go. And this is crucial. It comes with a no-code workbench. That means your marketing team, your HR team, they can string these agents together to automate really complex jobs without writing a single line of code.
And it all plugs right into the software they already use, like Microsoft 365 and Salesforce. But does it actually work? Well, here's the proof in the pudding. Virgin Voyages deployed a specialized agent they nicknamed Email Ellie. Its only job was to write marketing copy that sounded like Virgin, with that unique voice. The result? It cut the time they spent on that one specific task by 40%, and it helped drive a record sales month. That is a clear, measurable return on investment, no question. And here's another great example, this time from the creative world. The design tool Figma plugged a faster version of Gemini into its image generation feature. The result was a 50% drop in latency. That's the time it takes to process the request. Now, for a designer who's deep in a creative flow, that half-second difference is everything. It shows how raw AI performance translates directly into a better product and more productive, happier users. So the hardware is getting more powerful, the software is getting way more capable, and it's all starting to deliver real value. You know what comes next, right? With great power comes great regulation. The third critical event of October 9th was the government finally stepping in to create a whole new legal reality for AI. California finalized its regulations around something it calls ADMT, which stands for Automated Decision-Making Technology. Now, the definition here is absolutely key. It covers any system that replaces or even just substantially replaces a human in making what the law calls a significant decision. We're talking about things like hiring someone for a job, approving them for a loan, or deciding if they get an apartment.
Now, this single sentence you're looking at is probably the most important part of the entire regulation. What it says is that you can't be denied a job or a loan by an algorithm alone with no way to fight back. Businesses must give you a way to appeal that AI's decision to a real person, a human who actually has the authority to overturn it. The bottom line is, California has now legally mandated a human in the loop for any high-stakes AI decision.
And don't think this is some far-off, distant future thing. The timeline is set in stone. By January 1st, 2026, companies have to start doing risk assessments on the data they use to train these AI systems. 1 year after that, the right to human review becomes the law. This isn't a suggestion. It's a new compliance calendar that every single business using AI needs to start planning for right now.
So, a new compute reality, a new era of AI agents actually getting stuff done, and a brand new legal rulebook? That is a lot to happen in just a single day. So what does all this mean for you? Let's distill all of this down into a clear, actionable playbook.
Okay, here are the new rules of engagement. First up, your compute strategy. Start planning for a two-supplier world with both AMD and Nvidia, and use that to negotiate better prices. Next, when it comes to investment, you have to recognize that open-source AI is now a validated, high-growth model. For compliance, you need to audit your AI systems now to see if they're making any of those significant decisions. Architecturally, that human appeal mechanism, it's not optional anymore. It has to be built in from the ground up. And finally, on deployment, it's time to shift your focus from just running cool experiments to deploying specialized agents that deliver a clear, measurable return on investment. All the events of October 9th, 2025 made one thing perfectly clear. The era of AI as this wild, unregulated frontier, it's over. The hardware is real, the jobs are real, and now the rules are real. A whole new game has begun. The only question left is, are you ready to play?